been in process now probably for a year or several months, even before I took over. She advised that instead of doing carpet, we do laminate or linoleum floor, because then, you know, if we use carpet, the bacteria can get caught in there. The moisture in the carpet will keep the bacteria alive, whereas if we use hard floors, whatever, it's going to dry and die.
Redo the flooring and what else?
They're going to redo the flooring, and then the one mechanical room has a floor that needs to be replaced and some floor joists that will be replaced in that process. Again, I apologize for not having something to present to you, but until I could able to meet with Chris, I couldn't do that, and he's gone for 2 weeks.
Yep.
The other thing I need to let you know specifically related to the Head Start is Taylor's going to be going to Albuquerque in November. But I believe I need your approval now because we need to buy the tickets. She priced them last week and they were $600. This week they already went up to $800. So the closer we get to the date, the more they appear to cost. So I don't know if that takes a tribal resolution or if it's just a matter of letting you know that we have staff not only traveling outside of the community, but outside of the state.
Yeah, I've never seen it have to come to the council to approve travel within our own department.
Okay. I thought I read somewhere that I had to.
For training?
She's going to the, originally I was going to have her go to the director's training, but since that is, and that was actually in Texas, but since then they've come up with an education or education director's training. And since that's her position, that's what I'm going to have her go to, is with your now consent, because that's what her job is for. Next week, we do have people from DC coming in to provide some support for management or the management team. So we're working to accommodate their schedules. At no point do we, although that's going to create some schedule shuffling, I don't foresee it interfering with services for our kids. One of the things that we've changed this year is even this Friday, because we're letting out early because of the parade, we're always sending home a lunch. We never, and ideally we don't send kids home before we feed them lunch, but since the parade's at 10:30, the ladies agreed, so I'm here advocating on their behalf. Actually, the joke is it's the ladies and Anthony agreed that we would like to have the kids be with their parents for the parade. We hope to have a float in the parade, but we decided that it was better for the kids if they're there. We also are not sure how many kids we're going to have anyway.
You do have cooks right now?
We have 2 acting cooks. The gentleman who was hired to be the cook at the time, unfortunately, and I was sad to hear that because I've worked for many female bosses, so don't take this wrong, but I like the idea that we had another male in the building other than Anthony and myself. But the gentleman was also very likable and enthusiastic, but we need someone that's there consistently. And when asked to make a decision, the decision was that he was going to resign. So we're now advertising actually for a lead cook. And we're advertising, I'm glad you brought that up, we're advertising for a para. It's my understanding that those will close in yet this month. So what will happen is I will go over that with Angela and Taylor and probably Sherry Smith, and they will make the recommendations, but then we'll take them to PPC. And if possible, we may even come to you with another request that you select if that's an option. I've got to stop using the excuse that I'm new to this, so I don't know all the systems, but it's still the truth. I'm not sure if I can have you hire people out of session. But especially the cook, we need hired as soon as possible because ideally DC would have been providing training to them next week, but now we're going to have both the people that are in there applied for the position, so hopefully one of them.
Both close on the 16th.
Is it that early?
Yeah.
You know more than I do. I was thinking it was the 25th. But so I don't know if I can do that or not, but PPC will be we'll make the recommendations to PPC will then make the recommendations to you folks.
Okay.
Without going into too much discussion, too much detail. The 3 individuals that we hired as full-time aides, are
Yes.
they still there?
2 of them are, 1 of them is not.
That's the one that's being advertised.
I thought there was 2 of them being advertised. There's only 1 being advertised?
Yeah, it's that floating or part-time
Right.
position.
Well, and we've actually pushed it to a full-time position, but yes, that's the position that's currently being advertised.
I just thought it was 2 of them.
I don't know, what I can say is all 3 were selected. 2 of them chose to stay and one of them did not when they were given the opportunity to stay. Their decision was to not stay. If you want to have further discussion, I'd have to ask you to go into executive section, or I can talk to you privately.
I just had, because I'd seen that it was gonna be advertised, that one, I'm like, what, I thought we just selected for those, but I was just asking some questions.
But in the end, unfortunately, both the positions were those people's decision. Am I saying that correctly? They decided that, for one reason or another, they were not going to be able to stay at the Head Start. And I'll talk to you in executive or privately if you want to know more. Let's see. We are looking at changing this schedule, which you folks, I believe, approved at one time to, for a couple reasons. One is we have to, because DC, as a result of the site visit last year, is requiring a fair amount of training, and we just build in that time. And what's really frustrating is we don't want to let our kids go early, but instead of letting us pick the time, they're picking the time. And of course, they pick 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is noon our time. But we have no say other than Taylor took the latest one that she could take. So we'll have the kids in for a half day there. Once we have this finalized, because they've not finished telling us when we're doing those trainings, other than that it's on a Wednesday, I don't know if I need to bring it back to you folks for approval or if I just present it to the PPC, but I'll do both.
Okay, yeah, do a PPC, then you can send it to us. We can do a concurrence on it.
I do have good news about the COVID funds. I just got done finishing the report. We did spend all of the money. The report has been submitted and has been verbally accepted. I need to work with Sonia. Actually, I had to do 2 different reports. But both were accepted verbally and will be accepted as soon as they're uploaded to grants.gov. I don't have access to that, so I can't do that myself. Is anything you folks would like to ask me about the Head Start or anything that I can help you with?
Thank you for taking on the interim director position. And
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
At one point you talked about, do you want to schedule a different time to discuss Head Start? I don't expect it to take a lot of time now that we have the PPC to work through and with, but do you want me to schedule a separate time to meet with you about Head Start?
If there's something that's pressing that comes up that you need to meet with us about, we can.
Just let you know.
It's under schools, so I mean, it's perfect.
Because at one time we had talked about the piggybacking on Lance's school board meeting, like doing, which of course he schedules based, I think, on input from you, Chairman, but kind of the same time. So I can piggyback there.
School board meeting for the TED department stuff too, that's probably why, so.
Okay.
So we could do it that way.
If that's what you all want, I'll be happy to do that. Otherwise, I'll take as much of your time as you want me to take. Probably a little bit more, but hopefully not too much. Okay, for the tribal ed department then, we are advertising for an ed specialist to fill the position that was open. That position is being advertised right now. I believe it's advertised until filled. And then that position will take over the higher ed responsibilities. They'll assist with the Johnson O'Malley, the impact aid, and the newsletter, and any other things that are tied to that department.
On the 25th.
But that one's the one that closes on the 25th. And that one actually will be open until filled, just like I think the interim director, because if we don't have an applicant, then I'll just ask them to continue to repost it. For higher ed, I will be working with Trish, or at least she said she would help me. The check should go out in November because October is the drop date for, as far as I know, all the universities. So that we're waiting to make sure everybody carries 12 credits for the semester.
Samantha, that it was gonna go off then.
I'm sorry?
In October, yeah.
Yeah, when I talked to Samantha this weekend about that, she was thinking mid-October.
Oh, well then I apologize once again, you know more than I do.
can you do me a favor?
Sure.
And send those higher ed applications up with Sadie tomorrow morning. We're having another scholarship meeting.
Okay.
So it's with, and then Trish will be there too. So, we can get that stuff kind of ironed out with the higher ed and then have it, how it, in connection with the farm.
What time do you need it?
Well, Sadie's coming up and I think we're meeting at 9.
I'm meeting at 9.
Okay, I will,
And,
take care of that, yes.
okay, and then just send those apps up with her and then that way we can go over them. Cause I know that she said there was a handful of them that needed to be looked at too,
And
outside of higher ed, so.
now what I do need, and I don't know when you folks want to do this, we will need you to decide, because my understanding is there still are openings. We're funded for 60 students. They're adults, they're not children anymore, 60 students. It's my understanding that not all 60 slots have been filled. They definitely were not filled at the last deadline you established. Do you want to just close it and be done, and you don't need to make a decision now so much as plant a seed to have the
We can
conversation?
discuss that with Trish tomorrow in the scholarship meeting, and then when we have the opportunity to go over the apps.
Because right now, the goal is, I mean, I've told anybody that's called me, submit it no matter what. You may not get funded this time, but if you're in now, you'll be much further ahead for second semester. So the people that have called me, that's how I'm handling that. But I made it clear that it's not, I've kind of made you folks the bad guys maybe, and then I've said it's gonna be up to council whether we fill all 60. So if that's what you all decide, then obviously that's what we'll work to do. Yes?
If they're not eligible for financial aid, will they still get some kind of funding if there's 60 slots? I mean, if there's some openings or?
My understanding there is that they have to meet, do you know the acronym? They have to meet the financial aid eligibility. And what's really messing some people up is the fact that there's a parent share and some of them, the expectation, there's not a need because of that parent share. So what I advocated for last month is that maybe that's where one of the other tribal funds could support. But to be fair to you, go ahead.
Scholarship committee, and so some of them that don't qualify necessarily for higher ed, we're trying to cover through that. And that's what we're gonna talk about tomorrow at the meeting.
Thank you. Johnson O'Malley and Impact Aid. This year, based upon your resolution from last year, we will be adding Lyman County students, and I emailed some of you about this already. Lyman County will be submitting an application to have their children counted. Right now, I don't know the amount of money that the application will be for. So once I have that information from the Bureau, then I'll be providing that to Superintendent Long, and he and I will be working on that. And then the expectation, I would look to you, whether you want him to come and present it, whether you want me to present it, whether you just want it submitted to this office and then turned in. This is the first time that's ever been done because the regulations changed this year. Or actually last year, the count process changed and the funding process is changing this year. So that's why for the first time ever, Lyman County is eligible for Impact Aid. So, but that's something that we're gonna have to figure out whether how you want that done. Of course, we've always done, for Johnson O'Malley, I apologize, for Impact Aid, we've done that forever. The relationship continues to be that this office helps make sure that their count is correct, the addresses are correct, and then we also add the Lower Brule kids that are not ISEP eligible, and that added up to about $70,000 last year. So that's a chunk of change, and that's a good relationship. So that's the give and take there. Because of that, we have to have what's called that IPP meeting. You might remember having it last year. I've been asked by Ms. Superintendent Long to allow for a resolution requesting that they get to use the convention center again, which is where we met last year, at no cost. Because that's what you all did last year. You allowed them to hold that meeting there. And so they're asking you to do that again. And then he did say he'd be reaching out to both the two of you, assuming you still want to be on that committee. Yeah. It's Chris that'll contact you directly. I did tell him to make sure that because that your schedules would match.
If you let us know a little ahead of time, we'll have, a couple, some refreshments or juice or water or something.
Oh, okay. Well, he'll let you know.
But that'll come out of education.
Well, then you need to help me figure out how to do that.
There's no free donut.
If you help me do that, I'll be more than happy to do it. I'm terrible at figuring out how to do the requisitions and stuff. I just have gone out and bought stuff or paid for stuff. It's way easier for me.
But also, Mr. Long has not responded to our request. The request is for the 9-member school board to consist of 4 Lower Brules.
You want me to reach out to him?
Yes.
Because he and I have communicated as recent as yesterday.
Samantha Kelty is reaching out to him, but she's not getting a response. And I think she did get a response from Cloverdale. That's their attorney, is that correct? I think so.
Well, and I'm not going to try and speak for him. I'll just reach out to him. Now, that will be one of the things that would be covered in November. And he did propose, just so you know, he proposed, I think, the 11th of November. Whoops, this is the wrong month. Sorry, got to get the right month. He's proposed the 8th
November 8th?
and the 22nd as possible dates. And he's going to reach out, especially to the two of you, because I said your schedules are probably but then I also did tell him, he did want to go for the 15th, but I said that's the Indian Ed Summit. And so I don't know if any of you are going, but I have to go at least to that meeting on the 15th.
Are you still fighting for like 4 positions on that board? How did, because what I heard back was another parent. Then I hear that Ross was on there, but that's what I was like, and I was talking to another parent from Pressure, and I said, a nice person, do you mean a yes person? Because if they're not gonna question anything, then why? I said, I didn't like that. I did not like that at all. So they were looking for nice people to put on the board.
Well,
He didn't define nice, huh?
I was like, hey, I'm gonna question stuff, either way, they like it or not. I mean, so I was like, I think there should be election and there needs to be, because a lot of that money does come from our kids. So to let you guys aware of that, and I hope you guys are fighting for that.
We'll battle.
Place like they did last time they set it up here.
yep, and you're welcome to come too, but what we specifically want, and I'm not saying that the two of you have to be on it again, I'm kind of assuming that you would be willing to do it. So, and I think Chris is going to reach out to you specifically, but I mean, there's no limit. Like if you wanted to be on be there as a parent like you were last time, you can do that, but I think you could ask to be on there as a member too. I can check on that if you want me to. Do you want to just come as a parent, which is probably the most important?
Is that where the whole board comes or just the superintendent?
The superintendent and his team, and actually what they are is we're all part of the board. I'm there as the tribal ed director.
I thought I remember.
Bailey and Cody are there as part of that board, and then he has a bunch of staff that comes.
Excuse me, Brian, real quick. I thought I remembered, at least a couple years ago, maybe that there was supposed to be at least one school board meeting here in Lower Brule.
That's what I was just going to say to your comment.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was what they said. They were supposed to set up another school board meeting, but we never heard anything back.
Well, and the other thing that didn't happen, because Chris and I think Faley mentioned it too, that we thought there was 2 meetings for the IPP.
It was supposed to be quarterly, I thought.
Well, what they did is they changed, DC did say to him, or this is what he told me, is that we didn't have to meet that much. So then, but we never had that second one that we should have had in the
I
spring.
know, and I asked about when we were going to.
Yep, I want to give you credit for asking me, which is why I asked him, but I have so many things going on that I can't promise it was you. But I think it was you, because I know we talked about it. But these are things that you need to bring up in November for sure. And everybody's invited. It's just that we are the board, I guess. I think that's how it works. They had never done that before. Last year was the first time we ever held one of those meetings. What had happened before?
Meeting too.
It was. There was a fair number of parents too. So, but it was very informative because they basically did a PowerPoint.
I know like some parents went to that meeting, but what happened like after that meeting, what the complaints or the concerns the parents had?
I think you need to bring that up if you're able to come.
Okay.
A lot of it,
Was just introductions, a lot of it was getting established.
But that was just one meeting though, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just the first meeting. There was never really any, I mean, there was concerns that were brought up, like having a Native American staff member over there. There's not a Native American staff member over there. They were going to look into that, I guess, but we never really received anything back saying that they were gonna advertise or what position it was going to be or anything like that. So we really didn't go into detail, what specifics and what we were asking of them or anything like that. It was basically just getting established.
and a big part of it too is informational. They have to do this for two reasons. One, because of impact aid they're supposed to have. In fact, that's why the IPP exists, is under impact aid funding. And impact aid funding is the way that a public school receives what would traditionally be your school tax dollars, which is tied to your property. Well, we don't have property tax here on the reservation because of the trust land. So impact aid was created for national forests, for federal, for military bases, for reservations that are, or any other thing that's in trust land. So it's not just tied to reservations, it's tied to any land that's in trust. But then what drives the funding is your child. And then where our child where we make a big difference, or where a tribal member makes a big difference, is they have what's called a weighted student unit, which, to be simple, is a dollar amount assigned. Well, no child is only worth that one WSU. All of our kids are worth 1.25 WSUs. So if you want to talk more about that, or if you all want me to keep going, I'll be happy to do a full training, but I don't think you want me to take up your whole time. But to make it simple, every kid that goes there generates money, both state aid as well as impact aid. And the reason they get impact aid is because we don't have houses that can pay school taxes. If you were to live off the reservation and you own a house, you're going to pay school tax. So that's why impact aid was created, was not just for tribe, for the kids or for the reservations, but any land that's in trust. But our kids do generate more. Like a military kid doesn't generate as much money as a kid that's enrolled in a tribe.
That's why I think that we should have more faith over there. That's our kids.
And that's probably why they're not responding to Samantha Kelty, is
After
because
hearing that comment about having someone knives on there, I was like, no, I don't agree with that.
But they originally proposed that we would only have a 3-member and them a 3-member and then the other one at large, but we were saying, 4 or whatever. We wanted the majority of the seats, so I think it's negotiations taking place, but without them responding
I think
or,
that-
cooperating, I don't think.
If I remember correctly, the reason they weren't really responding to Samantha either is because they wanted to hear from our attorney, because Samantha is not licensed in the state of South Dakota.
Oh, and I don't know anything about
But
it, so I apologize.
I think Samantha let Cloverdale know that, so they could respond to one of us, Faylee or myself. But we still have not gotten that response.
Have they decided, this is my curiosity, with the commissioners, have they decided that? Because you were saying that they should be the same
Yeah,
at one meeting.
there's one right there. Then we get another one next year.
Yeah, an election.
Because I remember you advocating in one conversation we had that it should be the same ratio for the school board as it is for the commissioners.
So we're requesting 4, but they're not responding. They're a little bit nervous, I think. I think they see probably a majority of Lower Brule in the future. So I think they're slow to respond.
Well, I remember, I'd forgotten the gentleman's name, before Mr. Long, that superintendent voiced a little concern, not because of our community, but because a majority of their school board was like from Presho. So a lot of the decisions were pro Presho instead of pro the whole school. Whereas what's happened now is, my understanding is, there's a better representation of the entire school system.
Yeah.
Versus one community, because that's where,
Samantha Kelty sent them a redistricting school board map. Where all the population is even, you know?
Any more, Brian?
I need you to know that I submitted a report to the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association, or actually to Dana Brave Eagle, who's going to be presenting to the Great Plains Tribal Chairmen's Association. And since I serve you folks primarily, but I also support Crow Creek, it included both of that data, but it is being presented with both the things we're fighting for based upon your requests or your resolutions, as well as just data. So that will be presented Friday at that meeting. Otherwise, we already talked about the Halloween carnival. Right now, I don't need any support from you other than for you to know and to encourage your kids and grandkids to come. It's going to be in the community center. I would ask that you encourage the tribal programs to participate. I think it's going to be from 5 until 8:30, but that'll be finalized at next week's interagency meeting.
Sounds good.
I think the council has, I think they requested us guys to have
A booth?
to be participating, the tribal council as a group.
And I've got to tell you, I mean, I started out with that. That was a cool meeting because it went from how are we going to get this done to a ton of decisions were made like right in that meeting, which that's never happened before. So I don't know if it's because of COVID and everybody just wants to get together and celebrate, or what happened, but we had funding for the prizes. We have everything pretty much set up. So I encourage you to come to interagency anytime. It's the second Wednesday of every month. Otherwise, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
You're not gonna be there?
Oh, do we need a resolution for Lyman to have the convention center?
No, you don't need a resolution. Cody and Faylee can work on that since they're on that.
Okay,
Just give me the date.
okay,
Yeah, for the convention center.
Give me the date and then I'll have
Oh,
casino.
we'll do him and then we'll go to lunch.
and if you work with Trish, she can just bill it to the tribal ed department.
Okay. Mr. Bowman, come on up. We'll do Mr. Bowman, then we'll recess for lunch.
Morning, Todd.
Morning.
Can everybody get a copy of this?
We got 2 copies, but the rest need
Can you
one.
give a copy to Chief? I can't go. Can I get a copy? Can you do it?
Lately, I've kind of been a bearer of bad news. I mean, I feel that way because I brought up a loss at the farm, and I had a board member say they're tired of hearing about it. So at the last at the last board meeting, there was some issues that were brought up, I guess, and I'm curious to see what you guys' feelings are on it, I guess from my standpoint, I was appointed by the tribal council, and I answer to you. So, but there's been some infighting, I would say, within the board. There's mentions of resignations and whatnot. So I guess the reason I'm here is because if there's any allegations against me, or if there's any issues directed towards me, I guess I would like to at least explain myself to the tribal council. And in a nutshell, that's basically where I'm at. If any of you have issues with me, I guess I would look forward to visiting about it, I guess, and I'm here to better the tribe, hopefully make some money, help the tribe make some money.
How did the board meeting go? That was last week?
Yes, it was, when I first went to there and I asked for it, I was one of the ones that first asked for it because of the simple fact that there was a resignation. I was called and I was told there was a resignation. And so then I thought, well, what do we do as a board? So during that, another board member came in and he asked to be resigned. So I'm kind of getting in an area where I don't feel comfortable with as far as, the politics of it, I guess. I'm not that type of person, and I'm basically there to be a consultant for the tribe. Or, I'm a board member. So I guess that's where I'm at. And there were some different issues that were brought up, the drug testing, that type of issue. But I mean, again, I guess I feel when I asked about the laws, I guess I was getting a consensus that everybody was tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I mean, and I don't know the whole dynamics of your relationship with Lucky Seven. So, I mean, if I'm out of place, I mean, I'm looking for you for guidance, I guess.
No, because that's the reason why we had chosen to go with, the majority of the board as tribal members, because we need a little bit of insight on things that do occur like that, issues that do need to be raised, and sometimes those aren't always communicated with us through Lucky Seven.
Right.
And so that was kind of the goal or the intent when we put the tribal members on the board, is to be able to address those concerns and bring up those,
And I'm with you. I've been there with you, and I guess the way I look at it, Bailey, is that this is a transparent, a progression of transparency.
Right.
And we're not there yet. I mean, we got a lot of issues as far as just in part-time employment. I mean, I talked to Cody, there has to be a budget there so we can hire part-time employees that are deserving. I mean, to fix fence or whatever. I mean, just to be part of it, I guess. And we can talk dollar figures too. I mean, at the brandings, it was the brandings. It was 16,000 for all the brandings, and I talked to you, Cody, about it. I mean, that was 16,000 that went, to tribal members and more of the community. Yes, it could have been done cheaper, but I felt good about it because there was community involvement and all of it. So I guess that's where I'm at with this in this letter, and I just hope that if there's any type of discussion about me or my participation, all I want is a fair shake and a chance to, visit with you about it.
How many brandings are there? Just one a year?
There was actually 5. There was 5 brandings. Now, coming into this fall, and the past year, they sold them on place, right up the ranch, right? So, I mean, what they did is they loaded them up, they got numbers together, they went to Kennebec, they weighed them, and so when we got our report in February, it was a bunch of numbers. So I don't know if any of you were there, but I asked him, I asked Mike at the time, I said, what was the death loss? And that's the first time anybody ever asked that, and he threw it at me. I was shocked when he threw it at me. He said 20%. 20% of 1,400, that's 280, right? And I'm tired of talking about this too. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I mean, I would like to at least get a solution so we can go forward. Okay. And I look forward to working with them. I really do. I mean, but
That's a big concern. we shouldn't talk about it, Todd.
But it's the board's decision to talk about it.
I
I mean, I'm not against anybody, but that's the whole reason why there's a board. There has to be a separation. The board should bring all those concerns to us, and that's what I stated in the last time when we had this meeting about, even with Donnie, when we were talking about the drug test and all that, wanting us to be a decision. So back to the point, if we have to make the decision, what's the purpose of a board then? It goes back to what is the roles and responsibilities of the boards. And that's where I think talking with Tim and maybe some of the others, that's why we need to have this, maybe you guys need to have another meeting. What is the roles and responsibilities of the farm board? So as to voting for things or passing things, our internal issues, that way we keep politics out of it. That's why the people, they wanted the council off the boards, the sitting council, off the farm board, the gaming commission, the housing. So we gave it back to them to keep politics out, but somehow it keeps coming back here. And my feeling is it shouldn't be that way. We have to find common ground, bring those discussions up, and it's the farm board making that decision together as a whole. What is the best plan of action to move forward or address this issue and then move on? So that's how I feel.
And quite sorry, that kind of contradicts the conversation that we had whenever Donnie was here as the chairman of the farm board.
Oh, I think I
Whenever
said
we make
that.
a resolution and pass it at that same meeting.
And the drug test, and it wasn't just for the farm board, it was for all the boards. So,
okay, again, as a farm board, these new bylaws and whatnot, I guess I was understanding these are for the oncoming councilmen or board members. But so with that being said, as far as the chairman, what do you call him, the chairman? Cool. Donnie's the chairman. I guess, and I'm only one member here, and I'm trying to do the best that I can.
and I do appreciate your, checking up on them and let them know there is people watching them and doing oversight. That's what's been needed. And it goes back to those reports and the board as a whole addressing the Lucky Seven management of how are you addressing these concerns? What's your plan to address this so it doesn't happen again, the prevention part, and to try to, how we could better operate the farm in a better way to bring more profit back to the tribe. So.
Who were the two resignations?
Donnie called me and said he resigned, and then Roddy said he resigned at the beginning of the meeting. So I guess that's, so I guess I'm at the leisure of the council here, and then, if you guys want me off, you have the power to eliminate me. And I'll thank you and I'll be on my way. But I'm here to build. I'm not here to tear down. And I hope you all see that.
I think, like I said, Todd, it's grateful you came in to address these issues and bring the concerns, but in the end, it's like kind of what Clyde's saying, is like the reason for the farm board is for you guys to look over these issues. And you guys coming up into what can you do to help them manage our lands, manage the ranch and so forth. But what we've seen is the internal side, okay? We've seen the internal deal of the council, of the farm board, people that sitting on there that kind of got at each other, and it was over very bad. But in the end, that's why you was appointed, or anyone that was put on there was to look out for the best interests of the tribe. But it also takes that board to come together, to sit there and look at those indifferences, to come to that situation, to sit there and start trying to find the better pathway for the tribe. That was kind of my whole interpretation of why people were put on that board, is to make sure that happens.
I think I've been there. I think I've been there. I've tried to bring the board together. I think I've been there. And I'll continue as long as,
I don't think anybody's here. I mean, we're grateful you come before us, but I think this issue, this internal issue or whatever is going on between the farm board has to be handled within the farm board. And, with all of you coming forward to bring that, because in the end, it's, just how Clyde kind of explained it, is that's kind of where we're coming from, is this is why you guys are on that board, why you guys were put on that board, was to actually look out for the best interest, like we're looking out for the best interest of the tribe here also. But it's also for you guys to sit there and say, okay, Lucky 7, we don't agree with that, which you guys all came in, you guys all told us before in the last council meeting. And then it turned into the internal issue.
Yeah, I didn't understand the internal issue myself.
So then I didn't know it, and then everybody came, and then it turned into what it was. But like I said, no one's against anything. I think this is that point where we're learning to find the understanding between each member to sit there and try to figure out what's the best pathway for the tribe.
So we shouldn't have never had the 2-hour meeting with the chairman then whenever he came in with his concerns that should have been addressed with the board. And you guys should have been informed that that was what his issue was with. I feel like we put the tribal ranchers on the farm board because they have the experience and they're tribal members and they would be looking out for our best interests. Whenever we had a couple speak out and, voice their concerns, whether it be in a, unfiltered manner or whatnot, that's the purpose of putting the tribal member ranchers on the board, is to be able to bring those concerns to light when they weren't always in that way. But when there's a conflict between board members and they bring it to us, we should have had that response then when we had the meeting with them for 2 hours instead of coming and producing a resolution and pointing fingers. Basically, like I said in that meeting too, trying to silence them for bringing their concerns.
I don't think anybody tried to silence them.
And we came up with reasons to silence them.
If I could also say that the farm board is supposed to bring issues forward to the stockholders. You are stockholders. He's trying to bring forth significant losses that you need to be aware of. And for whatever reason, there's still some challenges with transparency. So not asking you to make a decision, just here to let you know that there's some things that you're not being told completely.
And like I said, you guys all brought that up in the last meeting, before it turned into the whole other issue.
I guess I don't know what the other issue there, but I mean.
It happened between Roddy and Donnie, that was between them.
And I'm trying to say, I'm trying to say
You guys
that.
came forward and you guys told us of the losses in which you guys were trying to find the count, in which I never got to hear what the official count was after that, because you guys were all supposed to go out there and hear that account. That says, what all happened there in the meeting, and then when they came up and it went into the deal, I didn't hear nothing further from the farm.
All right, you mentioned counts. Well, let me say this. I mean, it gets back to the sale on the ranch. This time it'll go to Fort Pierre. So when those checks are written, you'll be able to count and see exactly what those counts are. That's part of the transparency. That's part of doing business, I believe. So, I mean, you'll be able to say 1,400. There's only 800 here. Where's the rest? I mean, I hope at least I bring that much through my work here.
I respect your request for coming and saying that you do need the opportunity to address any issue concerns that were brought for specifically pertaining to you, because I was a little upset in that meeting too, whenever, we were bringing up issues with other board members and just listening to one side of the story. So I appreciate you coming, and I will do my best to follow the advice of Clyde and Lewis is in saying we need to resolve this at the board level before it comes to the council.
All right, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hang in there.
Thank you.
Where did Kevin go?
You know what that's about?
What? I think it might be a request. Did he, I don't know if he turned anything, might be trying to get workers to the work sites or something.
Yeah, goodness.
Put it. Take one to pat
Yep.
down.
Right down.
All the boards, the farm board, the gaming commission, the housing board, every committee board that's from the tribe. Lucky Seven's a management company, so that's under, that'd be separate from ours, so.
But yeah, I don't know, but I think, that was brought up in the, like I said.
Get it out.
to-
Okay.
Why bring it up at that time, at that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the reason is you got
Just to
people,
validate and say, oh, all boards, but really, we're owning in on the farm board, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, you got people making $1 million decisions. You hope to God they're in their right state of mind. Because we're trusting them to make the right decision. So that's why we made it for all boards. We just didn't single out the farm board. The casino's gonna do their drug testing and the housing is gonna have to do theirs too. But we can't tell them when we're gonna do it. Otherwise, you're just telling them giving them, if they're doing what they shouldn't be doing, then you're more or less telling them, oh, well, your drug test coming, you better go clean up. And what's the purpose of doing it then? Right? Got a request for you, requesting assistance from Lower Sioux Tribe in purchasing a vehicle to transport employees to job site. There are at least 10 contract employees of MSG. However, that company is always looking to employ people so the crew continues to grow. All we need is transportation to and from the job sites. MSG provides a motel, per diem, and gas money to get us there. The Lowbury Community College is willing to sell their van to the crew, and it cuts down on traveling to Sioux Falls or Rapid City to pick up a rental car. The van is priced at $22.50. The crew is willing to pay back the tribe through their paychecks per job. The crew's looking at $500 per job to pay back the tribe until the van is paid off. MSG is a great company and helps employ tribal members that otherwise cannot get jobs on the reservation. It gives them a chance to travel throughout the country and enhances their life skills of time management, being responsible to getting up and to work on time and financial relief. Thank you for listening, and I sincerely hope you support the tribal members. Kevin Wright.
I think MSG is the dollar store, ain't it?
That's what it is.
It's, to me, I think it's a
It's
contracting
a
company.
contract. The MSG is just the deal, but they contract with Dollar General to go.
Oh, they
to these
set up all the
places.
stores, right?
Yeah. They just go to wherever there's a new store, they restock, they stock it up and come back. Almost like a temporary job.
There is a process. I mean, to me, it sounds like it's a payroll deduction request, and there's a process that goes along with the payroll deductions. I think that's something that maybe they need to talk to the college about. You know, if they're purchasing the van from the college, we'll then set up the payroll deduction process with this MSG place too. Because I don't think we can do it, because college is their own entity, right?
College don't have no PRD systems that I'm aware of, do they?
Like, but,
But would she have to surplus the vehicle then?
talking about the van, she's trying to sell that, and, Wilma, you can help me on this. She took it to our, Bugsy's boy, what's his name? Kyle, to see if he could repair it, and he told us, or told Natalie, that it's beyond repair. It costs you more money to, if you sell it, you'd probably get more money than it would cost you to repair it. So if you want me to, Mr. I can visit with her and see if we just, like you said, surplus that out and donate it, because it's probably not gonna last very long. I think those guys would be paying for transportation, and all of a sudden the van gives it, there's no transportation.
Oh, that's the thing too, is who's your insurance gonna fall under? Who's responsible for O&M? I mean,
Well, not only that, but like the roadside assistance, if it's not that great in condition, you know what I mean? Is it gonna be reliable to get to Rapid or Sioux Falls or anything like that? But I think,
most of their jobs are out of state, so. I mean, I do appreciate, you know, he's just trying to look out for his workers. They had an unfortunate incident. Somebody wrecked one of the rental vehicles. A rental company cut off the company that they worked for from getting vehicles. So because of the actions of one or two individuals hurt the people that are doing the work, and it put them in this predicament, so.
Second one?
yeah, if
Second
it
vehicle.
was, if it was, if it
Second
was
vehicle.
tribal employees, or if it was an employee, or if it was a tribal property, I think we could work something out with finance, but with this being property of the college, maybe, you know, she can work something out with the employer to try to collect that payment. And to pay off the van.
Tim, how's Red Tail structured? Is it structured as a rental, or you guys just do the driving for contract services for people?
Just for people.
So let's hypothetically, let's throw this out here then. Let's say this company wanted to contract with the Red Tail to transport these workers to the job site. How would that work?
Drivers. We don't have the drivers. We've had an advertisement out for 3 months for a driver.
They're out, a lot of the jobs are out of state.
Yeah.
Did you ever call Kevin?
No, I never got it. I never wasn't asked to.
I'm pretty sure I sent you a text to call him. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here to looking at things.
Yeah, it makes sense because I remember in the past, whenever they said Smithfield or some other industry was we were busing out people to go work for them, I think in Mitchell or Huron or somewhere. So we were providing transportation, but now I don't know what.
Well, that was through I don't know about that, but I know, you remember when Dr. Moore was here at the college, she was trying to work with Sanford, she was working with Chamberlain area commerce. Well, I don't remember exactly what happened. I was trying to get workers from Lord Brule and they would transport them to Chamberlain every day to work, but I don't think they ever got people to sign up maybe.
No, a grant didn't go through it.
Or is that what it was? Yeah.
They called us again.
Yeah.
This is the second time. And they don't really follow through. And it's the driver. We don't have them.
So Cody, you want to?
Yeah, I could also, once we do this, I think probably when Kevin needs some guys to go with him to do whatever they're gonna do, I think it should be posted so people who are in need of a job can see that and possibly get a job for a few days.
It is a good idea though, to try to reach out with them and contract with them or something about getting transportation to work for the tribal employees.
You haven't. Cheryl, you have anything?
I'm just gonna let you know I'm doing a cover letter for those resolutions. There was one on there that was wrong, it's not 6 7, it's 5 7, so I'm gonna give that to her to correct. Otherwise, we should be good.
It's gonna be 4 6.
It's gonna be 4 6. So it's gonna be that total number. Just said put a number down, because fractions are killing us.
Mr. Puya, while you're here, come up to the table. Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, he makes us wait, we'll make them wait. Right on.
Thank you, Chairman.
Go ahead and state your, whatever you want to state to the council.
I guess I thought I was being presented with something, or
Say that again?
I thought I was being presented with something, or
No, of what, state what what you wanted to address the council.
I did not want to address the council on anything, but I appreciate your hospitality, getting better. I appreciate all the wellness programs you guys have created lately. Trying to heal myself.
Closed session for a minute, quick.
It's 12:35. Or 12:34, we'll go into closed session.